As a young kid, all you do is you focus so much on the future. I want this, I want this, I want this. But if you don't focus on what you have to do today, it's a dream. One of the things that Mike Ferry always said is that every single day you have to start at zero as if you have nothing. And I think developing that habit, that book really solidified me in a way that I could receive that message about giving every day the absolute most. And then the next day, whether it's good or bad, you have to start over. Because think about it, if you have a bad day, the next day you have to start over. If you have the best day, the next day you got to start over. You can't live on what happened the day before.
A big topic at the Mike Ferry event last week that I think a lot of people really walked away with was the best agents have short-term memory.
Absolutely.
Right? So the agent that pissed you off on the other end of that deal, forget about him. The buyer that, or the seller that you thought was going to sign that was supposed to be a shoe-in, they didn't sign, forget about him. Right? The person who cursed you out on the phone on the prospecting call this morning, forget about him. Right? Just not letting any of that mess with you. I mean, it ties into, of course, starting every day at zero, but
the more you do the process, the easier it is to forget about it. You know, I mean, I had a closing today and the lady screaming and yelling. I mean, she's just emotional, you know. I'm not mad at her. I mean, she's innocent. I know today she's doing the best that she can. It doesn't look pretty, but it doesn't get me mad because I know as long as I did my job, like I'm okay with that. You know, you're going to have some deals where people love you and some deals where they think that you did a bad job. And it's just like, you have to know that you did the best job. And so, you know, just like prospecting, I mean, if you make, you know, like on an average day, I'll make between 900 to 1,200 calls a day. How many of those people are going to tell me to go F off or yell and scream? But I don't care about those. I'm thinking about the 7 to 10 people every single day that I'll either set an appointment with or I'll put into my pipeline as a lead. And that's what you focus on.
I love that. All right. What's something that you will never do again?
Stop in the middle of the process, you know. Yeah, I heard Kobe Bryant once say that, you know, his teacher once said, don't stop in the middle, stop at the end. You know, too many people, when things get hard, they stop and they lose momentum. To me, one of the things that I've developed over the years is the ability to keep going on regardless of what's happening to me. You know, because bad things happen to all of us. Things happen in our personal lives. But, you know, when you link what you do to helping a lot more people, you realize that you do more for others than you will for yourself. So for me, no matter how tough a situation is, I'll always fall forward because, you know, a lot of people I see when things get bad, they freeze and they stop. And that's such a destructive habit to have because when you stop, you lose all of the momentum. And most people don't realize when you're in a breakdown, your breakthrough is literally like 2 millimeters away. You're right there. But in the moment you stop and then you have to start over. So that's a habit that I'd say probably 2006 was when I was able to finally kick that, you know, probably 6 or 7 years in the business, I'm not stopping.
I think that's very, very powerful to like to let that resonate with some people who are listening. So it's what you're saying is that when you're going through a challenge and you're in the middle of it, you can't see the way out. Just know.
Because people don't realize you're already in pain.
Yeah.
Why not get to the end and finish it? If you start over, you're going to be in more pain. I see so many agents, even for people that work for me, where, you know, they'll make $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 in 2 months. And then they just stop working. They lose all their money. And now they're right back in there, you know, and it's just like, you can't stop. Real estate is always rewarded. Like the tortoise in the hare, the tortoise always wins.
Yeah.
You know, real estate is a daily grind. It's one day after another after another. The people that just run and stop, they can't be successful. You can't. Real estate is something that if you do little steps every single day, it accumulates, and that's how you make $1 million. You don't do it starting, stopping. I've just never seen it done. It's so important that people realize you don't stop in the middle.
Yeah, no, I love that. There was I forgot who said this, but they were saying that real estate or sales in general is a contact sport, and it's a contact number.
Is.
So if you have to hit 100 contacts to get a transaction and you stop at, you know, 75, it's not like if you hit 25 tomorrow, you're going to get there. No, you're going to have to hit 100 again to get the transaction. It's the average across the board. So constantly just having faith that the numbers will make sense, and it's just a formula to it.
The thing is, you have to trust the process. You know, outside of repetitious boredom, Mike Ferry always said is that the ability to do repetitious boredom, like every single day, you got to get used to doing the same things. Like making 7 or 8 hours a day, it's not fun all days. It just isn't. You know,
it's boring as all hell. But
I was doing a talk for this group, and this person was like, "How many days do you wake up and you're excited to prospect? Because that's what I'm known for." And I'm like, one day that I probably am hungover, you know, that I'm drunk and I want to call. It's just most of the days you have to force yourself to get up and get started and get on the phone. But once you get going, you know, you fall in love with that process. But most people, they don't start.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you don't get in the habit of making yourself do something regardless about how you feel, you can't be successful. If there's one habit that I have that I think separates me is I don't work based on how I feel. I work on based on what I committed to do the night before. If I say I'm going to make 100 contacts, no matter what, that's what I'm going to do. Like, I'm committed to doing that regardless of what happens during that day. It doesn't matter if I don't feel good, if I'm tired, because you know what? Like, your dreams don't care if you're tired. You know, when you want to give your family an extraordinary life and you want to have all these amazing things, like, life doesn't care.
Yeah.
You have to make the decision to go out and do that. And the habit of doing things when you don't feel like it is probably one of the most important things to being a successful agent, especially someone that wants to make $500 million. Like, you have to learn to do things that you don't like.
Yeah.
Especially when you're a 1099 employee, right? I mean, it's
Absolutely.
easy. It's easy to show up for work the next day when you're W-2 and you have to be there or you get fired, right? But if you had a rough night, you went out late last night. I always laugh at, like, when we'll bring our team out to dinner, you know, Christmas dinner or whatever, and it's a Thursday night, and they're like, "So do we have to come in tomorrow?" I'm like, "Yes, yes, we have to come in tomorrow." Just because you had a few, like, come on, we're all adults here. You had a few drinks tonight. Come in tomorrow. We're not taking the day off just because we were out a little bit late or you're a 1099 employee. Let's get back at it.
When I was young in my career, one of the things that Mike Ferry told me, and it always resonated, is he said, if you want to go out with the boys, you have to get up with the men. And that was something, because, you know, when I started coaching with them, you know, I was single. I was going out every night, going to the bars, meeting girls. Like, I just loved that process. But the thing is that no matter what time I went to bed, I always was at the office every day at 6:30, because he said, go out with the boys. I don't care. Get up with the men. The men get up at 5 o'clock. They go work out. They get into the office early. They prepare their day, and they get on the phone at 8 o'clock. And I just became obsessed with that process.